The restaurant had that kind of lighting meant to flatter everyone equally. Low, amber, forgiving, a place chosen for its neutrality. We were there with people from work, mine and hers. One long table, shared plates, the careful choreography of professional friendliness. She was in a good mood. I could tell by how easily she laughed, how little effort she made to check my face before speaking. That ease had once felt like intimacy. Lately, it felt like assumption. The conversation drifted the way these things do. Projects, travel, old cities people used to live in. Someone asked her where she'd been happiest before moving here. She answered without hesitation, named a city. Then, almost as an aside, she added his name, not with bitterness, with fondness. "He used to say I laughed more back then," she said, smiling into her glass. Probably because he was better at not taking things so seriously. There was a pause, not the kind that stops a room, just the half-second where people decide whether something is a joke. She helped them decide by smirking. It was subtle. It said, "This is harmless. This is funny. This doesn't cost me anything." A couple of people laughed. Someone glanced at me, then away. The table leaned forward, collectively relieved that no one had made it awkward. I felt something register in my chest. Not pain exactly. More like a note being filed away. I didn't feel small. I felt assessed. Like a version of me had just been placed on display without my consent. Another comment followed, not from her this time. Someone added lightly, "Guess we all have a better before story, right?" That was the moment. Not because it hurt more, but because it threatened to become true simply by repetition. I didn't rush to speak. Silence has weight when you don't panic under it. I let it sit long enough to become noticeable, not long enough to become dramatic. I looked at her, then back at the table. "I think what people miss about their past relationships," I said, calmly, "isn't the person. It's who they didn't have to be yet." My voice didn't rise. I didn't look at her when I finished. I reached for my water instead, as if I'd said something ordinary. The effect was not immediate laughter. It was recalculation. Someone let out a soft, Another person nodded, unsure why. The joke energy evaporated, replaced by something quieter, thoughtful, uncomfortable, in a way that didn't invite further probing. Before she could respond, her department head, an older woman, with a reputation for saying only what mattered, smiled politely and said, "That's actually a good reminder about keeping personal comparisons out of professional settings, especially in mixed company." She said it gently, like a note, not a warning, but it landed. My wife's smirk vanished, not replaced by anger, by awareness. She straightened in her chair, eyes briefly unfocused, like someone who'd just realized a room had mirrors. The conversation moved on. Deliberately this time. Travel again. Food. Someone ordered another round. But the hierarchy had shifted. Not in my favor exactly. Just back to neutral. I didn't feel victorious. I felt steady. On the drive home, the city lights slid across the windshield in silence. She didn't reach for the radio. That was new. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," she said eventually. Her voice wasn't defensive. "Just careful." "I know," I replied. And I did. That was the problem. We didn't talk about her ex. We talked about boundaries, about how humor changes when there's an audience, about how familiarity can turn into carelessness without anyone intending harm. She listened. Not perfectly, but enough. The shift didn't happen all at once. It rarely does. There was no apology that night, no dramatic reconciliation. But over the next weeks, I noticed things. How she paused before telling certain stories. How she checked in with her eyes before making jokes that involved me. How she stopped mining our relationship for easy laughs. And I noticed something else, too. I no longer felt the urge to compete with a man who wasn't in the room or in our lives. What changed wasn't her memory of him. It was her understanding of me. I hadn't defended myself. I'd defined myself. Publicly, briefly, without cruelty. That was enough. Respect, I learned, doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it enters quietly, sits down, and rearranges the furniture without asking permission.